This is the lecture for Business Strategy 450, Week 3. Welcome back. Hopefully things have gone well for you for the last week or so. And hopefully you've also had a chance to listen to my recap of Week 2 before you jumped into these slides. Just want to remind you that this week is our first optional 45-minute Q&A video conference. It's scheduled on February 2nd. I've sent an invitation on Sunday. If no one accepts by Monday at 5 p.m., the session will be canceled. We'll be using TalkBox for that session. You don't have to participate in that. That's purely optional. It's first come, first serve. And the purpose is entirely to serve as essentially open office hours. I'm happy to communicate with you by email and happy to set up a telephone call if you need it during the week. I've already had a couple of students with whom I've spoken during the week last week, so I'm glad to do that. So this is just an additional option. If I don't hear from anybody by 5 p.m. tomorrow, I will go ahead and cancel those sessions. But if you need them or want them, I'm happy to have them. And don't forget that the periodic chapter assignment number 1 is due on February 2nd as well at 10 p.m. I will be looking for those. Several people have already submitted their periodic chapter assignments, but if you haven't done that, don't forget to get your assignment in by the 2nd. And here's a few quick comments I wanted to make on online workload. I know for many of you, some of you have already been through online courses. Others, this may be a first experience with an online class. And I tried to talk a little bit about how to manage your work and how to think about the class in my first blog out on BStrat 450 network. But I did want to take a minute just to give you some, what I think is some very practical advice about the amount of time that you would need to commit to the class, which shouldn't be drastically different from a regular course. First, I will make every effort to ensure that the lecture slides generally are about an hour, give or take just a little bit. And the recap that I provide each week, plus all of the extra video that I use, will generally be, give or take, 30 minutes. That's about an hour and a half. For a 3-credit class, which typically is 3 hours of class time meeting a week, that leaves about an hour and a half that you can use for discussion forum contributions. So in my mind, your work in the discussion forums is the equivalent of your participation in class. And so I've tried to make sure the combination of all of those equal about 3 hours a week. The remainder of time you have to commit to the class should be identical to the amount of time you would commit to any other 3-credit course in terms of homework, assignments, and reading. So I would expect that, that's usually, I think, a couple of hours at a minimum for each hour of class time. So that roughly should give you a sense about the total amount of time you have to put into the class. But I figured the first 3 bullets here might be helpful to you as you think about your schedule and how you break up your time in the week. Let's look at the agenda for this week's lecture. First, we're going to do the team project kickoff. We're going to do an overview, talk about assignment of teams and cases, the project team guidelines, and team expectations agreement. And then this week's topic is inputs into strategy focused on the internal organization. As you know, last week we focused on the external environment. This week it is entirely internal. We're talking about the resources, capabilities, core competencies, and competitive advantages of the firms that we would be building our strategies for. Let's kick off or get into the team project kickoff. First, case assignments and lists of teams of 3 to 4 students each will be distributed this week. I'm in the process of pulling that information together. Sometime middle to later part of the week, I will post team assignments in your classes in Manhattan. In the handout section, the names of the team members along with their assigned case will be included. You'll receive the names of students on each team, and then the assigned case study, and the case studies will be coming from the textbook, also available on Cengage Now in the Assignments tab. I'm going to talk in a minute about how to access the cases on Cengage Now so that you're not confused for those of you who don't have the actual hard copy of the textbook. Each team will be expected, as the syllabus described, to prepare a comprehensive analysis of the assigned case study. Team project is going to consist of a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation with sound narration. So you as a team will pull all the materials together and then submit a presentation in PowerPoint format for the rest of the class. The deck of slides for your presentation must be submitted on Manhattan by 5 p.m. on April 24th. The time you submit your PowerPoint slides, please also upload your presentation in video format via YouTube. You can email your YouTube link, or you should email your YouTube link to me for the video. You may need to do what I've been doing, which is breaking it into segments. YouTube generally only allows 10 to 15 minute segments, so you'll need to break your video up into segments before you upload it to YouTube. Make sure you send me the links for those so that I can incorporate them into our class websites. If you don't have sound and video conversion function in your version of PowerPoint, it's okay if you use a screen capture software tool as long as it has sound capability and can record your voice or whatever other sound you're using in your presentation. Or probably not as optimal, but certainly acceptable, as you could also use a video camera to record you doing the presentation. In terms of screen capture software, for my presentations, my recap presentations, which you've watched a couple of them now, I use BB Flashback Express to record those weekly recap films. It's free, and including the link right here in case you want to use it. There are other tools available, and you may already have some loaded onto your computer. But if you're looking for a tool that you can use and you don't have recording capability in your version of PowerPoint, I've found BB Flashback Express to be reasonably easy to use. Before we go on, I did want to just kind of give you a little bit of guidance on how to find the case studies in Cengage Now. I know that Cengage Now isn't as easy to navigate as one might hope. And these slides are excerpted from the Using Cengage Now project, Using Cengage Now slides, which are posted in the handout section of Manhattan. But I figured I'd pull out the specific slides that were applicable here. First, if once you get into Cengage Now, you go to the main Cengage Now page, and project team cases will be found in the assignments/tests tab, which is the third tab over. You have courses, grades, assignments, tests, and study tools. Go to the assignments tests tab and then click on that tab. Once you've clicked on that tab, it should bring you to a number of case assignments which are listed by company name. An example above is just one, which is Southwest Airlines. All of the cases will be listed when you get there. I'm going to be setting it up so they'll all be there. I did this screenshot with just Southwest to make things a little bit easier. These are the cases are set up as homework in Cengage Now. This is the way that Cengage distributes the cases, but you're not required to complete the homework assignments that come with the cases. However, the actual PDF of the case is included with the assignment if you don't have the hard copy or textbook. So you should be able to go in here, find the document, and then print it. That said, the homework questions may be helpful to you anyway as you prepare your team project case. I guess what I would suggest is that the team project case doesn't require you to look at the questions, but they may give you some clues on how best to prepare your case analysis. Once you find your particular case, in this case it happens to be Southwest Airlines, you should click on the team project case. You'll come to a page that looks like this. If you need the PDF of the case, click on the case name, which is at the top of the page. Again, you can use the questions for preparation, but you're not required to do so. When you click on that link that has the case name, it will open up the case in PDF format just like this. You can read it this way or you can print it, but now you've got your case assignment. again, for those of you who have the textbook, you don't need to go through this exercise. But for those of you who don't have the textbook, this is where you'll find your case.